Good evening, good summer. I said summer. Good Sunday, good Sunday evening, people. Today, we're going to talk about the Israeli Black Panther Party. I know it sounds weird, right? Israeli Black Panther Party. And we're going to discuss the global impact of our African American movement around the world. We're going to talk about the New Zealand Panthers. We're going to talk about the Indian Panthers, the Dialect people. Yeah, the people who were once called untouchables. So I'm showing this build or doing this build to show the impact of the people and our culture on how our message can change the world. And I'm just putting this up here or putting this out so that we can see it. So what I'm going to do first, we're going to do something real simple, simple for everyone. It makes it real simple. We're going to share the screen. Hold on. What just happened here? Okay, we're going to share screen. And we're going to begin. I like this little part here. And then I'm just going to open the book in a second, but we're going to go here first. So you see here, this is called the Israeli Black Panther Party, 1971 to 1977. You ain't never, as how True Story, my brother True Storian would say, you ain't never seen this before. So it says in 1969, Saada Marciano and Charlie Biton, along with four other Moroccan-Jewish youth living in the poor Moroccan-Jewish section of Jerusalem, Israel, starting meeting to discuss North African Jews' experiences of joblessness, police beatings, housing, and education discrimination, and exclusion from government political offices and positions. Well, this is happening in Israel. Doesn't that sound kind of strange, you would say? Hmm? Same things they're fighting for or asking about, we were fighting for jobs, police brutality, housing, education, discrimination, exclusion from government offices, and things of that nature. Okay, it says when they read about anti-racist liberation movements in other countries, they decided in 1971 to name their group the Israeli Black Panther Party. So it is the movement that was started here by Mr. Bobby Seale, Huey P. Newton, and other individuals that influenced the world. This is the power of Black people in America. This is the power that they kind of want to hide and say, oh, yeah, this was just a little domestic group that was over here. Yeah, it doesn't have any global potential. It's not connected to anything. Not saying that these individuals were connected to them, but look at where they drew their information from. Let's keep reading. They used the Panthers' well-recognized name to make the government take this group seriously and to draw national attention to the fact that Israeli discrimination against them was similar to the experience of African Americans. They adopted the Black Panthers as the motto for protesting and organizing. The Israeli Black Panther Party created a coherent ethnic identity among Moroccan, Iraqi, Kurdish, and Yemeni Jews who all faced similar discrimination that contradicted Israel's founding vision as a socialist nation that treated all Jews equally. The Israeli Black Panther Party used the word Mizrahi, Arab Jews, to bring national attention to their collective oppression. The British started the discrimination when they controlled Palestine from 1920 to 1948. They favored Ashkenazi European Jews over Mizrahi, who were viewed as primitive and savage. Once Israel became an established state, Ashkenazi Jews became the state leaders and excluded the Mizrahi from political power. Even though the Mizrahi comprised 65% of the Israeli population, Israel leaders such as Mizrahi as Arabs, Black Jews, oh shit, did we say Black Jews? Yeah, we said Black Jews, whose values and customs were anti-ethical to those of Israel. The Mizrahi were needed to provide menial, low-wage labor. So these Black Jews or dark-skinned people, the made to do low-wage labor. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? But they often made only 10% of Ashkenazi income. Sounds like the wealth race gap here in America. The millions of dollars donated by American Jews went to new Russian immigrants and Ashkenazi neighborhoods and not to the poor Mizrahi neighborhoods. Sounds like what happened after white blight and Black people moved into the community. Consequently, only 45% of Mizrahi teenagers were in school in 1970. The Israeli Black Panther Party presented the first serious threat to the status quo in the history of the state of Israel by exposing Israel's class and ethnic discrimination. They held their first demonstration on March 3rd in 1971 in Jerusalem. The protest discrimination against Mizrahi. Because of their Black Panther name, there was front page newspaper and radio coverage of the demonstration. In April, Prime Minister Golda Meir agreed to meet with the Israeli Black Panther Party, but only after they started a hunger strike at the Wailing Wall. Because Meir knew that the U.S. Black Panther parties repeatedly denounced Israelis' oppression of Palestinian Arabs, she feared that the Israeli Black Panther Party would form an alliance with Palestinians. Consequently, she appointed a commission to study the youth in distress. Let me stop there for a minute. Early in the beginning of Black History Month, I pointed out multiple different people. One, I pointed out an organization called the Harlem Youth Unlimited. And inside of that organization, you'll have multiple subgroups, which would be the High Rock Act, which is a part of that, the Urban Task Force or the Urban League. And this money was given to the nationalist organizations that was inside of the community so that they could flourish, which would mean take care of the youth, things dealing with sickness, and even trying to address the police brutality argument by hiring more Black police officers. So it's interesting that these people over here in Israel are adopting same type strategy. In any event, it says, consequently, she appointed the commission to study the youth in distress and found $22.9 million to fund services for Mizrahi. The Israeli Black Panther Party continued to challenge the Israelis' official rhetoric that all Jews were treated as equal members. They held large demonstrations in Jerusalem, including the Night of the Panther on May 18, 1971. Using the Black Panther motto of community self-empowerment, the Israeli Black Panther Party also addressed basic needs like food. Did we do that over here? Yes. Clothing. Did we do that over here? Yes. By creative activities such as liberating milk bottles from milk trucks in middle-class neighborhoods to give to the poor families. Yeah, we could talk about bank robberies. Okay, and we'll say liberation funds. In 1973, the Israeli Black Panther Party became a political party. Biton and Israeli Black Panther Party founder was elected to the Israeli parliament in 1977, where he served until 1992. While the Israeli Black Panther Party disbanded in 1977, Their lasting legacy was the establishment of the Mizrahi as a political force with a right to speak out. So, of course, this is a different kind of situation because you're dealing with a population that outnumbers, I believe it was 65% of these European Ashkenazi Jews, and they organized on these specific principles by utilizing Black power. All right. So I wanted to bring those people. Oh, let me go back so you can see this for those who didn't see it. See that right there? Black Panthers Way. So they did use the name, and they used our name that we used because they figured there would be a threat. They also knew that the Black Panthers International program was against what the European Jews were doing, and they wanted to free Palestine, etc. And you can see that argument later come up in the Black Power Conventions of 1972. So they used it as a strategy. Very interesting. But anyway, we're going to open another book here. All right. Let's go here. All right. Well, I'll let you know, see the name of this book. This book is called Black Power Beyond Borders, the Global Dimensions of the Black Power Movement. So that's what we're talking about today. The global dimensions of the Black Power Movement. Okay. Let's go here. So this is just giving some detailed information about the Israeli, but that's not in that site. Let's blow this up here. So this is in, I believe, a city-state called Musrara. The Israeli Black Panthers were born in the small Jerusalem slum of Musrara. Musrara had been a middle-class Arab neighborhood, but following the 1948 war, now right on the border dividing Israel and Jordan, his houses were, hold on, let me flip it this way because this thing is making it hard for me to read that. On the border dividing Israel and Jordan, its houses were partitioned in tiny units without proper cooking and hygienic infrastructure. Populated with nearly newly arrived Jewish immigrants, the Rusara resided on the extreme social and geographical outskirts of Israel. Hold on, let me get here. So the group that makes these individuals up, which is the real interesting dynamic, they're gangs. So it says around the same time, several gang members, most notably Sadida, Marciano, and Charlie Biton, befriended mostly Ashkenazi university and high school students, a few of whom have been active in the far left-wing group Compass or Israel Socialist Organization. Excuse me. So these local gangs are the youth, and they are not satisfied with the way the government is doing things. But let's keep moving. They didn't organize and make this parade. I wouldn't call it a parade. I just like it because I like when people demonstrate. But that night of the Panthers, this is what they said. February, Marciano and friends filed a request for a permit to hold a demonstration. They prepared the leaflet under the heading Enough. We, a group of screwed over youngsters, appeal to all those who are fed up. Enough of no work. Enough of sleeping 10 to a room. Enough of looking at the apartment houses for new immigrants. Enough of prison and beating every Monday and Thursday. Enough of government promises which are never fulfilled. Enough of deprivation. Enough of discrimination. Signed, the Black Panthers. So this is what they wrote. This is what they said. So let's keep reading. The official response was utter panic. The police had already begun monitoring the group, and one informant reported on a meeting of Musrara in which Motzpen activists briefed the group about the Black Panther Party. According to police records, he told them that in the United States, the Black Panther bring together African Americans with other minorities and employs violence, even arms, to promote their cause. The single idea that unites them, he added, is a war against discrimination, a principle that should be adopted here in Israel as well. So yeah, you have that. Let's keep reading. Hold on. Let's go here. Where are we? So this is just talks about the appropriation of the name. And this is interesting, but it says, much like their complex relations with the far left, the Panthers occasionally distant themselves from their own moniker, explaining it away merely as a provocation, a mean to draw attention to their cause. The truth, they explained in one publication, is that we are not Panthers, we are not blacks, but white. In their demonstrations, however, participants continue to chant, "We are all Panthers, we are all Panthers." The Black Panthers designation elided traditional forms of Mizrahi civil society that usually congealed around national or regional origin. There were separate associations for Israelis or Iraqi or Moroccan descent. For instance, the Pacific communities in Israel, such as neighborhood committees. The Panthers thus helped crystallize a unified Mizrahi identity. So for Israel's, the term Black Panthers did not require introduction or exploitation. The reaction to its announced arrival in the streets of Jerusalem was an immediate outcry of terror. Those are my words. It was an immediate outcry of terror. They got scared. So where's the conclusion at on this? It's here. All right. It says, in many features, the story of the Israeli Black Panthers was arguably sui generis in a larger narrative of Black power's international and transnational impact at the turn of the 1970s. Its importance beyond the confines of Israel history is twofold. First, is the multi-directional vectors of transnational dynamics it exposes, which includes the globalization of both hegemonic and oppositional American political forms in the United States, the foreign consequences of divisions within American society between Jews and Blacks, as well as world-embracing ties of Jewish solidarity. So anyway, you can see this. There have been in recent years several initiatives to commemorate the legacy of the Black Panthers and an exhibit on their books, a symposium, blah, blah, blah. So there you have it. You have those individuals there. But we're going to go a little further. We want to talk about the dimensions of Black power as it travels around the world. Can y'all still hear me? Am I still here? Are we still lit? Mic check. Can you guys hear me? Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. I want to make sure that I'm being heard. Somebody please put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. All right, so let me fast forward this up. I hope I'm not, I hope I'm being heard. Okay, I can hear myself. All right. So we're going to talk about another group of Black Panthers, or we're going to look at how our influence travels. The Polynesian Panthers and the Black Power gang surviving racism and colonialism in New Zealand. See this? So we talking about yo, we the gods, man. I just want y'all to know that. We the gods, man. We the gods. Polynesian. Mm-mm. Scholars of Black Power are increasingly exploring the global dimensions. A number of studies have paid attention to the international connections and influences of key U.S. Black Power people and organizations, and the mapping of the influence of U.S. Black Power across the Americas and African continents is well underway. So these studies are being done now. In any event, you want to go look at these Polynesian Panthers. What did they make? The survival program of the Polynesian Panthers. Such agitators were put into practice by a group of ex-gang members. So we're back at this gang member stuff. So we are in a different part of the planet Earth. And it is the youth who are part of these ex-gangs. And what do? They said they come from where? The inner city or the suburbs. The Polynesian Panthers began as a local land-based movement that would grow to over 500 members, supporters, and family members in 13 chapters across the country, and it spread over 13 chapters through New Zealand. The Panthers were predominantly composed of these ethnicities called the Tangata and Pacifica, as well as some Maori. Maori, and even an Indian brother. The first Central Committee was composed of ex-members of the Pacifica gang, the Nigs. The first chairman, Will Alohali, was the only member of the committee to attend the university, although it was his fellow gang members who protected him and supported him in his endeavor, and who in many ways provided him with his real education. Black power literature was fast becoming ambiguous. A encounter came in the course of the university studies, although at the same time, the president of another Pacifica gang, the King Cobras, had just come out of prison. So you see these connections here? Well, let's keep moving. Comes out of prison, brandishing Bobby Seale's book, Seize the Time. All the while, family members and friends who had left school to work as seamen were returning with literature from the outside world. Okay, did we not talk about early 1800s and that the people who worked on the seaway or the internet, that's how messages were being crossed. And you can see that this is a human development that is even happening in New Zealand. Said the brother encourages gang mates to make a principled decision to do something more for their immediate community than hanging on the corner. That's what they said. Those who subsequently joined initially assumed the movement to be a kind of acceptable gang, but the Polynesian Panthers was something more. They thought to raise political consciousness. They adopted the Panthers' 10-point program so as to teach Pacifica families to survive in the New Zealand system. Bang, bang. So this is what they did, and this is what they're using. Also, they structured themselves in the same micronation format as the U.S. counterparts with various ministerial portfolios. The Polynesian Panthers echoed Huey Newton and Malcolm X organization mantra: we cannot have black and white unity until we have black unity. They undertook a variety of grassroots activities, some in partnership with the Palagi equivalent and Pansanobi, the People's Union, including organizing prison visit programs and sporting and debating teams for inmates, providing a halfway house service for young Pacifica and Maori men released from prison, running homework centers, offering interest-free people loans, legal aid, food banks that catered for 600 families at its height. The Panthers also employed one of their members, can't pronounce that name, as a full-time community worker. what I want you guys to take from this is the power of the Black man, woman, and child, and our organization skills, and how it comes from a dynamic. And this dynamic that you will hear these people were talking about, they're noticing something. And they're saying that Black power means the end of white power. Very interesting. And this is happening by the Polynesian Panthers. Interesting. In any event, in terms of influence, it's important to count not just U.S. Black power, but also Pacificia heritage, independent movements, opposition to French nuclear testing in the region, and Maori struggles for self-determination. And while members were advised to read Seize the Time and the autobiography of Malcolm X, they were also encouraged to read on our culture to give us something to identify with. So let's stop right there. Let's stop right here. How many people you know ever read Seize the Time? How many people really read that book? A lot of people didn't read that book. A lot of people talk about the autobiography of Malcolm X, but how many people actually really read that? And then they say something real interesting here. They are taking philosophies from a Black movement that's in America that involves the same type of conditions, and they're recognizing this discrimination and how they want to organize around it by using those principles that these individuals laid down in their canonical text. But then they said they need to give themselves something from their culture to identify with. So what does that mean? That means that when we look at some of our Black organizations, they use certain things from West Africa or certain things from the continent. That is very important because that identity is the basis of the movement. That identity, not just what the people are fighting for as far as discrimination, but that identity must be there so that you are grounded. And that's very important. Anyway, these are the Polynesian Panthers. Interesting. All right. Oh yeah, this part was interesting too. Set the Black Power gang and lumpen politics. Similar to their Pacifica counterparts, gangs of young Maori men formed through a precarious and reactive attempt to practice communal living on unforgiving urban soil. I consider the Maori gang phenomenon to be fundamentally political because even if the gang did not consciously ascribe to, for example, a 10-point political plan, their very existence is testament to a basic collective survival strategy against the genocidal effects of urbanization and the similar assimilationist policies. As noted above, the Polynesian Panthers finds its genesis in the cohort of what Cleaver would term the lumpen youth. And in this respect, the Black Power gang can be singled out for special attention. You are now looking at the Polynesian Panthers. This is the power of the Black man, woman, and child in America. Last group we're gonna go to, shiznit. We're going to India now. Black Power in India. So you hear about how the Gandhi movement influenced us over, some of the civil rights movements of nonviolence. But yeah, it's a two-way street, baby. Let's keep reading. The word dialect from the Ma'ati for broken or crushed has come to replace untouchable. So you remember that back in the days, the untouchable, when the Aryans came there, they changed the god around Brahma, made the feet black, and made this untouchable class that these people are black. And basically that's your caste. You can't do anything past that caste. Your job is your job, and that's your destiny according to God. That shit, yeah, that's crazy. As the most common label for more than 160 million people who live in the bottom of, that's a lot of people, bro. Damn. Damn. Whoa. I just had to freeze there because I don't remember seeing that number. All right. Who live at the bottom of the caste hierarchy in India and other parts of South Asia, names matter. Never more so than when dealing with the identity of an oppressed minority. In 1972, a group of young dialects in Bombay formed the Black Panthers. On October 15, 1973, the 26th anniversary of Indian independence, the Black Panthers organized a march of some 200 people through the streets of Bombay in a celebration of what they called Black Independence Day. Kala Swantara Din. Drawing on the legacy of the Black Panthers, let's make sure we emphasize this. Drawing on the legacy of the Black Panthers, the Black Panthers challenged the narrative in which independence had already come to the Indian people. The very name, Black Panthers, marshaled notions of blackness and black power to present dialect resistance as militantly unbounded by the triumphant complacency of self-proclaimed democratic nation states. In their writings, both collectively and individually, the Black Panthers made evident the inspiration of the Black Panther Party. A Black Panther manifesto written in 1973 declared, due to the hideous, due to the hideous plot of American imperialism, the third dialect world, that is, oppressed nations and dialect people are suffering. Even in America, a handful of reactionary whites are exploiting blacks. To meet the force of reaction and remove this exploitation, the Black Panther movement grew. From the Black Panthers, Black power emerged. We claim a close relationship with this struggle. Why don't we know about this? Who is these people? Why we don't know about them? But I'm gonna do another show on it. But I just want to lay this out. The Black Panthers were not the first Indian organization to claim a close relationship with African American freedom struggles. Indeed, the Black Panthers forged one of many links in a long chain of connections between Black and South Asian struggles. In the late 19th century, a variety of social reformers begun to articulate analogies between the injustices of colonial India and the United States. The analogies fell into two broad and at times mutually contradictory categories. On the one hand, many historical actors compared American racism and British imperialism, juxtaposing African Americans and Indians in the fight for collective freedom. On the other hand, comparisons between struggles against racial oppression in the United States with movements against caste oppression in India employed a race caste analogy that compared African Americans only with the lower class Indians. From their inception, connections between Indian and African American freedom struggles called into question the meaning of freedom by challenging boundaries of race, caste, and nation. Goddamn. Damn. Yeah. So, yeah, this is a lot here. So these two paragraphs, I'll leave it here. This is just talking about the analogies that they see between the oppressed people and how they are organizing, and they're showing that this caste is similar to white racist supremacy in America. Okay. Here it says the history of Black power in India both challenges and advances a new assessment. On the one hand, Debates about Black power in India echoed American debates regarding violence and nonviolence. The Indian story demonstrates the centrality of violence to at least the public image of Black power. The tendency of some Black power advocates to embrace violence, especially on a symbolic and rhetorical level, must be distinguished from the conceptions of nonviolence that dominated the Black freedom struggle from the 40s into the mid-60s. On the other hand, post-independence Indian history demonstrates the need to also distinguish carefully between the militant rhetoric of activists and the overt violence of dominant clashes in the state. While some Black power activists associated India with Gandhi and thus with nonviolence, many Indian activists actively debated the continuing relevance of Gandhi and nonviolence in the face of persistent inequality and fierce repression. Studying Black power in India complicates simplistic portrayals of a pure nonviolence, Armed self-defense and nonviolence need to be seen mutually exclusive. Huh? In addition to violence, Black power has been associated historically with a shift from integration to separation or Black nationalism. As recent scholarship has documented, however, Black nationalism often entailed not just turning away from integration with white Americans, but also a turning toward people of color throughout the world. The history of Black power in India demonstrate that this turning toward was actually a meeting with, as the transnational initiatives of Black power activists were, hold on. Damn, man. Why the hell it just did that? It might have said reciprocated. I don't know. It's stuck. Move the goddamn screen. Reciprocated. Move. Okay, there it is. By a variety of individuals and groups, themselves often charged with separatism and disloyalty to the nation. From the vantage point of India, Black power appears less as a separation than as a accumulation of many decades of transnational integration within the global community of the oppressed, what the Black Panthers called the third Dalit world. So here it's going to talk about violence and the Black power movement. It's going to talk about this individual named Singh, and it talks about his aspects of what he thinks. And he says that Black power, he said this at the Black Power International Center of Delhi. It says, Negro leaders in America will tell you that, but for the violence methods adopted by the Negroes, no advancement of the colored people would have taken place. Let me read that again. Negro leaders in America will tell you that, but for the violent methods adopted by the Negroes, no advancement of the colored people would have taken place. Singh granted that the threat of violence may have pressured American leaders to respond, at least in part, to the demands of African American protesters. Is he right? Is this man correct? Is he correct? Do we have some examples of such? Yes, we have our labor movements that happens. It is correct. We have the 1930 Harlem Labor Union. It is correct. We have the multiple riots that happened all throughout the 60s would prompt them to do specific things. They're correct. We have them ending specific parts of slavery in the North, not just because they were all really Bible believers. Nope, they saw the threat to the things that were going on in the South, and they feared that this would come to their doors. Yes, that is what happened. In any event, this is the Dalit Black Panthers. This is in, oh man, there's a lot of stuff here. I'll leave this out. I'll do this another day. But I just wanted to outline the power of the people. And let me put the cover of the book back up here. Black Power Beyond Borders. It is the power. A lot of people, we just don't understand. We think that because they were doing all of this COINTELPRO stuff, they were killing our people, killing the youth, killing Bunchy Carter, killing all these people. This is the fear that the American government has. You have people in New Zealand, people in Israel, and people in India forming off of ideas of Malcolm X. What happens if the world of the oppressed understand this discrimination part and unite based off of those causes? That is a problem. That is a big problem. And this is the reason why Malcolm is killed and why they saw those people here as the biggest threat to the United States government. So I just wanted to put this out here so people could come back and view it and understand the power. When they Black Power failed, it didn't do nothing. It didn't do what? What are you looking for? You looking for your 40 acres, huh? That's what you're looking for, right? No, you got to fight for that, brother. Notice everything that those people, even that used our ideas, they had to fight for it. They demonstrated, they fought, but they organized around programs. So I just wanted to put that out. I just thought it was interesting when I was reading that, and I wanted to share that with the people today. I hope you guys liked it. I don't know how many's in here. I think everybody is dealing with Jewish History Month. So I thought maybe if I put Israeli in there, we can get 1 million people in the room. Oh, I just muted myself. Damn. So I'm gonna put the link in here. I hope I didn't mute myself for too long, just in case anybody wants to come in. I hope I didn't put the mute on. Peace to the God, District 120. KB, peace. Miss Tiffany, long time no see. I hope you're doing very well. See you sipping on that tea. Johnny Jones was good. Wisdom in the building. Wisdom in the building. Mayasa, Naomi. Oh, wow. Haven't seen you in a while. Judy, peace. Donnie in the building. Yeah. So I put the link in there just in case anybody want to come in. If not, I'll close out. This is our Black History Month. We like to give you every year the things that you never heard of. All right, I thought I was on mute for a while. But yeah, we giving you those things that you never heard of. If you go look to the community page on our YouTube, I advise you to go there. It is only the 20th. We have over 100 Black people, women and men that you never heard of. That you never heard of. That you never heard of. So I need y'all to go check that out. Pass it around. You might want to go through one of those with your kids or one of those with your sister, one of them with your significant other. I don't know. But just spread the word. That's all you got to do. With that, I'll say peace. If you feel like you learned something you already know that you never heard before, hit the Cash App. See the Cash App pinned to the top, Rob Bourne. All right. With that being said, if anybody got nothing else to say, I'm out of here. Hold up. Is that why the white man developed the counterintelligence program? Oh yeah, District 120. When you look at the when you look at this international, no, I mean they developed the program originally because they was afraid of communists, and that was something that was going on early. So they always been doing that. However, it turns up when the Black Power movement comes on. It turns up when the Black Power movement comes on, and then when you start looking at, especially Malcolm when he leaves the Nation of Islam, and he's becoming more involved with international affairs, that's a problem. When you see the Black Panthers, they go through these different stages where you have LJ Cleaver, who's in Algeria, then goes to Congo, and they're over there doing those things, working with, that's a problem. You know what I'm saying? So that's connecting multiple, it's aligning most working poor people around the world and giving them the political education so that they understand that you're dealing with the same damn enemy. And that's a problem. And I guess we can see the results from what the Israeli Black Panther Party did versus we can see the results in all of them, you know. And I think it's a powerful statement, and it's something that we should be proud of, and it's something to talk about. That what we do here, we can shape and change the world. What you do here can shape and change the world, man. Yeah, I think that's kind of powerful. Yeah, Peace District. Father Born Day coming up. That's why I draw attention to the Cimarron, as you know, because once you make a list of all of them, over time you see those are small standing army SPACs. Survive to Stono, and no information on it is the suppression of those very ideas, the possibility of us becoming a united front and ready to take action, hence the desire to suppress any idea of it. Yep. Yeah, I can see that. Once we started coming together, they started working harder to, yep, yeah, man, that's a fact, brother. Once you start, that's a problem. They want to keep you separated by ideology. They want to keep you separated by um ego, and I want to have the most members. I want to have the most money, you know? So yeah, it get crazy like that with these people, yo. It get crazy. So any more questions up in the chat? If not, we closing out. We don't want to keep this open too long. I just felt the bug and I wanted to drop something. I caught the bug. You dig? All right. With that, I'm out of here. Peace to the family, man. All right. And love.